Welcome back to Anime Covered. Today, we're diving into the world of Wistoria, Wand and Sword, specifically Episode 1. Our journey begins with the protagonist, WillSHolt, a young man in a world where magic is everything. And while there are plenty of characters and potential waifus in this story, Will's heart is set on one special girl he hopes to meet in the tower. So, let's unravel the adventure that kicks off his journey. At Rigarden Magic Academy, students were absorbed in a detailed lecture about the fascinating reactions of sulfur and its ability to transform into fire. Among them was WillSHolt, who was diligently scribbling notes. But suddenly, the teacher, Edward Serfants, called out Will's name, jolting him from his thoughts. Realizing he'd missed crucial instructions, Will felt a pang of panic. Teacher Serfants invited him to the front of the class to demonstrate the magic experiment. Internally groaning, Will thought, "Here we go again." As he approached the podium, he stared vacantly at the pile of sulfur. Teacher Serfants assured him that this was merely a practice exercise and that he should be able to generate fire from this simple catalyst. Will, trying to mask his anxiety, raised his hands and chanted, "Oh, fire, ignite!" But to his dismay, not even a wisp of smoke emerged. A student below snickered, and soon the entire class burst into laughter. Only Colette, a compassionate classmate, looked on with concern, feeling sympathetic for Will's public humiliation. Teacher Serfants, seemingly anticipating this outcome, began to deride Will, saying, "Who would have thought that a student from our esteemed academy couldn't even perform the most rudimentary of spells?" Will understood that the teacher's goal was to expose him. Although he excelled in theoretical knowledge, he was woefully inadequate at practical magic. Another student, Scion, smirked and raised his wand, conjuring a large flame that shot straight toward Will. Teacher Serfants, shaking his head, remarked that Scion had acted without authorization. Scion then feigned helpfulness, claiming he only wanted to assist Will, and received praise from the teacher for the quality of his flame. Teacher Serfants boldly declared that their world was dominated by magic, where wizards were the heroes, and magical talent was the highest virtue. He pointedly told Will that those who lacked magical prowess and clung to unrealistic dreams should promptly leave the academy. After the class, Will wandered the hallway in a daze when a mocking voice pierced the air. "Made a fool of yourself again?" It was Scion and his cronies. Scion taunted Will for his frequent visits to the dungeon to farm monsters, a strategy to earn extra points and avoid expulsion. To Scion, this monster farming was only suitable for weak magicians like Will. Just then, Colette appeared, her voice ringing out, "Hey, stop it right now!" Scion greeted Colette with a cheerfulness that contrasted sharply with her anger. Colette, baffled by why such a talented and beautiful magician like herself always stood up for Will, scolded Scion directly. "You're not allowed to bully my best friend. Will is kinder and works harder than anyone else." Scion was taken aback, and Will was equally surprised by the confrontation. Scion took the opportunity to further demean Will, asserting that kindness and hard work would never make someone a great magician. In other words, Will's dream of becoming a Magia Vander was nothing more than a pipe dream. These harsh words struck Will deeply. The group departed, with Scion suggesting that Will should leave the academy soon, just as Teacher Serfants had hinted. Colette, worried about Will's feelings, encouraged him to ignore their taunts. She even mentioned she would speak to Teacher Serfants about his unfair treatment of Will. Will, acknowledging his inability to perform magic, felt blessed to have someone like Colette care for him. This made Colette blush, and she asked Will why he would say such things. Will responded that she was his only friend and that Colette was genuinely adorable. Colette, feeling flustered and almost overwhelmed, scolded Will and pushed him away, telling him not to tease her so. Her heart raced as she tried to maintain her composure and uphold her noble demeanor. Will fell silent, clutching a pair of glasses. He remarked on how beautiful the sky looked today. Colette, feeling the warmth of the sunlight, recalled the Magia Vander. Long ago, when humanity was shrouded in darkness and unaware of the sky, the world faced a threat from invaders from the upper heavens. 5 powerful magicians emerged to combat these invaders, bringing peace to the world. These magicians were known as the Magia Vander, a title given to the strongest and passed down through generations. It was a dream and honor every magician aspired to achieve at least once in their lifetime. Colette gazed up at the highest peak, wondering if the Snow Princess was watching them from above. Will, momentarily lost in thought, smiled at Colette's musings. "Maybe so," he said. Up there, at the very top, she might indeed be watching them. Will extended his hand and reminisced about his childhood friend, Elfaria. She had once told him that beyond their sky lay the sun and the moon. They had talked endlessly about the incredible beauty of the sunset beyond the horizon. Everything bathed in a deep crimson, the most beautiful sight in the world. They had promised each other they would become Magia Vander, reach the closest place to the sky, and watch that sunset together. Elfaria had taken that promise seriously. With her innate talent, she became the youngest person to achieve the title of Magia Vander and ascended to the upper tower. Meanwhile, Will, an inept and ordinary student, had never forgotten their childhood promise. Though he felt inadequate now, Will clung to the belief that one day he would stand beside Elfaria. Scene changes, and we see. Will found himself facing another teacher, Werkner, who was furious because Will had once again ventured into the dangerous 7th level of the dungeon to farm monsters, a reckless act that risked his life. Will, recognizing the teacher's genuine concern, knelt and bowed his head in apology, but didn't forget to inquire about his credit points. Werkner, despite his stern expression, confirmed that Will had defeated the evil guard boss and awarded him 2 credit points. Will's face lit up with joy. Werkner signed the credit authorization form and hesitantly asked, "Will, you still haven't given up on your dream of becoming a Magia Vander, have you?" Will was puzzled. Was that a negative thing? Werkner explained that advancing to the upper tower required acceptance into the upper institute, necessitating the accumulation of credit points across 3 major courses: theory, practice, and combat, totaling 12,000 points. Werkner added, "For someone who can't use magic like you, passing the practical course is a distant dream." Will, aware of this challenge, had been focusing on earning extra points through combat. Werkner warned him that relying solely on combat to advance was futile. Will understood that Werkner's warnings were not mere scare tactics. Werkner was genuinely concerned for a student facing high-level monsters without magical abilities. Despite this, Will was determined not to give up. The teacher, exasperated, took a deep breath and said, "You're not even guaranteed to graduate, let alone earn the title of Magia Vander." He reminded Will that he was short 4 credit points for the week due to failing the previous practical exam. In a rush, Will checked his notebook to identify which monster he needed to defeat to make up the points. Werkner sighed, seemingly talking to himself, and mentioned a monster named Baskerville on the 6th level that no learner had yet defeated. Will's jaw dropped in shock, and he rushed to hug Werkner's leg, repeatedly expressing his gratitude. Unbeknownst to them, Scion had overheard everything and plotted to find a way to expel Will from the academy. As the night grew windy, Will entered the dungeon with newfound confidence, determined to defeat Baskerville. His cat sighed and meowed. It turned out that during their last encounter, Will had almost gotten the cat roasted by not paying attention. He once again relied on Kiki's keen nose to track down their enemy. Meanwhile, Scion was convincing his cronies that the academy didn't need useless individuals, so they would deal with the monster before Will arrived. This way, Will wouldn't have the chance to earn the 4 credit points, and expulsion would be his only fate. One of Scion's friends, feeling a bit scared, hesitated, questioning if it was all right since they were alone on the 6th level. Scion, enraged by the hesitation, thought his lackey was underestimating him. The cronies, now terrified, had no choice but to obey. Scion thought to himself, "In this world, those who can't use magic have no right to speak of becoming a Magia Vander. Those eyesores don't deserve to stand in this academy." Their target was Baskerville, but when they encountered the monster, one of the cronies was struck so hard he was embedded into the wall, taken out in an instant. Only then did Scion realize with horror that this monster was far beyond their capability to defeat. The scream caught Will's attention. He wondered if someone was injured and rushed over, only to find that Baskerville was about to finish off Scion. No, this wasn't Baskerville. It was an evil sentinel. Will was confused, thinking, wasn't this monster supposed to be on a deeper level? He saw Scion helplessly sitting on the ground, casting ineffective spells. The level difference was too vast. Scion was as good as dead. Will faced a moral dilemma. Should he save Scion, his tormentor? He hesitated, but then recalled his childhood promise to become Magia Vander. He couldn't stand by and watch someone perish when he had the power to help. Summoning his courage, Will readied his sword and prepared to confront the evil sentinel. The battle was intense. Will's sword clashed against the monster's tough hide. Despite the odds, they managed to defeat the evil sentinel, saving Scion in the process. After the fight, Scion, battered and bruised, was left dumbfounded. Will, panting heavily, faced him. Scion's usual arrogance was replaced with a mix of gratitude and awe. Will, though exhausted, said, "You may think poorly of me, but I won't turn my back on anyone in need. That's what being a Magia Vander means to me. So, what did we learn in episode 1? In a world where magic reigns supreme, Will is carving out his own path armed only with a sword and a dream. And honestly, I'm here for it. What did you think of Will's big moment? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more anime breakdowns. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.